Hi, scholars. It is Miss Breeding again. Here with you to guide you through Module 5, Lesson 2. As you can see up here in the top right corner, this is Grade 3, Module 5, Lesson 2. I'm starting with your application problem. Please go ahead and complete this one independently. It says Anu needs to cut a piece of paper into 6 equal parts. Draw at least 3 pictures to show how Anu can cut her paper so that all parts are equal. So to start this off, you will want to draw at least 3 pieces of paper. If you want to challenge yourself, do 4. Draw your pieces of paper. Just a rectangle. It does not have to be perfect. And you may begin. I'll give you about 5 minutes. All right, scholars, you have had a little bit over 5 minutes to complete your application problem. Now I am going to model for you what it should look like, or the possibilities that you all could have come up with. So we know that we needed to cut the paper into 6 equal parts. So this is the first. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts, and I drew 5 lines. And here I can do the same going across, which is horizontally. Okay. And next, you have where you can split it in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And lastly, okay. So these are 4 different ways that Anu could have cut her paper into 6 equal parts. Okay. Moving on to our problem set. So I want you to independently complete this entire page. It's very simple. I will read the directions for you. So for part 1, it says circle the strips that are folded to make equal parts. So you're going to look at the strips and see which ones are folded into equal parts. Do not get tricked. Make sure you look at the different sizes of the squares. Part 2, or number 2, it says there are blank equal parts in all. So it's asking you how many equal parts are here, and blank are shaded. So the first part is asking you how many parts. The second part is asking how many of those parts are shaded. I will give you about 3 minutes to complete this page. You may begin. All right, scholars, bringing it back together in 3, 2, 1. All right, scholars, let's work through our first page of the problem set. So Number one, it says circle the strips that are folded to make equal parts. So what you have to do in order to complete this problem accurately is you have to look at the parts and make sure that they're even. So let's start with this first strip. Do these parts look even to you? I believe they look even, or they are even. So I'm going to circle that one. Let's look at this one here at the bottom. Do these parts look equal to you? No, they aren't. This section here is way bigger than these two sections. So I'm not going to circle this one because this part is not equal to the rest of the strip. Let's look at this one. Do these four parts look equal to you? No, they're not equal. These two in the middle are way larger than these two on the end. So I will not circle that strip. And look at this last one. Are these strips even? Or the parts even? Yes, they are. So I'm going to circle that strip. Okay. So next, it says there are blank equal parts in all. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 parts are shaded. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts in all. 5 parts are shaded. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts in all. 1, 2, 3 are shaded. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts in all, and 0 are shaded. Okay. Very simple first page. Now to the more complicated part. Not really, because you all are super smart. Give me breathing 1 second to get her camera together. Alright, here we are. It says use your fraction strips, which we do not use, or we do not have, as tools to help you solve the following problems. So for these problems, you actually will not use your fraction strips, but you will draw to represent your answer. Okay, so where it says fraction strips, don't worry about that. You will draw what you believe the fraction strip should look like. Okay, so here we are. Noah, Pedro, and Sharon share a whole candy bar fairly. So how many people do we have? Because that's very important. We have 3 people. We're going to skip this part because we don't have a fraction strips. So it says draw the candy bar below. So we're going to have a rectangle. And how many people do we have that want to split it equally? We have 3 people. So we want to draw what the candy bar would look like split with 3 people. And then we also want to make sure that we label Sharon's fraction of the candy bar. So how many sections do we need? We need 3 sections. How many lines am I going to draw to make those 3 sections? That's right, I'm going to draw 2 lines. 1 line, 2 lines. And I'm going to label everybody's part of the candy bar. So this is Noah's. This is Pedro's. And this is Sharon's. Okay. It was very important in the beginning of this problem, before we drew the candy bar, that we understood how many people were splitting it. Okay. So let's move on to number 4. 4 is a little bit more tricky, but I am here to support you. Alright. To make a garage for his toy truck, Zeno bends a rectangular piece of cardboard in half. And I'm going to model with a sheet of paper what this will look like. So here I have 1 sheet of paper, and I'm going to fold it in half, hamburger style. Okay. Next it says, he then bends each half in half again. So I have my half here, and I'm going to bend it. So let me show you. So this is 1 half, and this is 1 half. Okay, I'm taking both of the halves, these are 2 halves, and I'm folding them in half again. Do you know how many parts I have now to my whole? I had one sheet of paper at first. I folded it in half, and then I folded it in half again. How many pieces do you think I have? How many parts do you think I have to my paper? Now there's a 1, right on the other side. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. Okay, let me explain how we got to fourths. So we had one whole sheet of paper. We folded it in half. That's where I got my halves from. This is one half of the paper, and this is the other half. Zeno folded his halves in half again. So when you fold a half in half, then you make quarters, which is 1/4 or fourths. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Okay. Another way that you can look at it is he cut it in half. So half means two parts. He then bends each half in half again. So if half is 2 and then you bring another half again, that's another 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, which means there will be 4 parts. Okay, if you're still confused, go back and rewind it so you can watch me fold the paper again. I think that's the best visual that I can provide you right now. If you take a half and then fold that half in half again, then you're getting 4 parts. And let me draw it again for you here. So if I have one sheet of paper and I split it in half, and then I split it in half again, that's going to give me fourths. Okay. So it says, what fraction of the original cardboard is each part? We just did that here. If we had it in half and then folded it in half again, each part is 1/4. And we already drew the fraction strip. And let me draw it horizontally so you can see that as well. It would look like this. Okay, they're all fourths. Next, I want you to try B on your own. Remember the way that I added up half. So I had half here, that's 2, and another half again, that was 4. So that's another way that I was able to figure out how many parts do I need to have in total. I want you to use that same method to solve part B. This is our last part before our exit ticket. So if you do not understand now, go back and rewind until you get back to where I began, number 4. Okay, if you understand, go ahead and try B on your own. I'll give you 3 minutes. You may begin. All right, scholars, let's work through part B. It says Zeno bends a different piece of cardboard into thirds. So we know that he has 3 pieces right now. Okay, so he bent the first part into thirds. He then bends each third in half again. Each third he bent in half again. Take your time to think about what it's saying. You had thirds. Okay, so let me draw it out for you. You have thirds. And then split each third in half again. So let me outline this so you understand what I just did. So I'm going to draw a black line or outline each original third. So it was 1, 2, 3 at first. Then it says he bends each third in half again. Each third, there's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. He split both of them in half again, or all 3 of them in half again. So this is what your fraction strip should look like. So now, what is what is each part worth? Let's label the inside. It should be 1/6. Okay. The very important thing to solving word problems like this is making sure that you're reading and understand exactly what's happening. Remember, I always encourage you all to draw a picture with everything that you read. Okay. So for an example, he bent the cardboard into thirds. I went on and drew my thirds. He then bends each third in half again. So for each third that I have, I am splitting it in half because it says that he bends each third in half again. Okay. So this strip was sectioned or partitioned into 6. Okay. Last but not least, your exit ticket. It says circle the model that correctly shows 1/3 shaded. You know what 1/3 looks like. Remember, the partitioning has to be equal. Okay. There are blank equal parts and all blank are shaded. This is very similar to the first page we completed in our problem set. And lastly, Michael bakes a piece of garlic bread for dinner. He shares it equally with his 3 sisters. Show how Michael and his 3 sisters can each get an equal share of the garlic bread. My only piece of advice for that word problem, because it is very simple, is to remember what we did here in number 3. We knew that Noah, Pedro, and Sharon were the only people splitting this candy bar. I need to know the same thing with how many people you are splitting this garlic bread amongst. Okay? Good luck. You only have 2 math lessons for this week because I know that it's fractions. Fractions can be a little bit difficult, and I want to make sure that you understand and we're not moving too quickly. So you have 2 days out of the week. You should have already completed lesson 1, and after you complete this lesson, you need to spend the rest of the days on Zern to make sure you're thoroughly understanding what we're going over with fractions, and especially reviewing the terms that we discussed in lesson 1 from this sheet, because you will see these terms again. And after this lesson, fraction starts to get a little bit more difficult, but you all are definitely capable of doing so. All right, see you next lesson, scholars.